Hello everyone. A video was brought to my attention. It is Dr. Brown sharing a statement. It happened yesterday, May 7th, 2025. And I had made a video a few weeks ago updating you guys about what he would need to do, the steps he would need to take in order for me to feel that he resolved the allegations that were brought up against him. If he were to follow this type of timeline, I could see myself being able to continue to share him as a reliable source, trustworthy. I would continue to read and buy future books of his. Now, as of yet, I have been following reliable channels, and I have been sincerely listening to the information, reading, and doing my best to keep myself from just taking things on an emotional level, but trying to be very rational about the information and trying not to let my personal bias of my having supported him in the past get in the way of me seeing his actions for what they are. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and see this video, and I'm going to continue to talk to you as soon as I'm done. It is a 5-minute video. Okay, I have just gone through the first almost 2 minutes, and I can see that there are going to be a lot of things that I have to respond to, and so I was taking a few notes here. So I wanted to start off by saying that I will link the video in the description below so that you can hear it. I didn't want to share it here so I don't have any problems with my channel. I don't want to get any copyright or anything like that. So the first thing that came to my mind is that he says that it's been a while since he has been active on his channel, I suppose is what he means. But it hasn't really been a situation where he has been silent the whole time. He has been maybe even daily posting on his Facebook, I don't know, page or profile, I don't know which one it is, but he was posting Bible verses, and some people thought, are these Bible verses completely like indirect connection to what is going on? Is he making himself seem like a victim? Things like that. So some people might have said it's inappropriate for him to even post Bible verses because he was under investigation, and you don't want anyone to be influenced during an investigation. You don't want people to feel like they can't come forward to the investigator, and you just don't want to have any influence over people. Also, he has been in communication through his newsletter. Supposedly it was his team that was sending the newsletters out. There was a mishap, I guess, a miscommunication or something, that one in particular was sent, and it was asking for money regarding his autobiography book that was about to come out. And he also mentioned that he was under the greatest diabolical attack ever. So he was asking for money, and he was painting the people that were trying to speak up for the people that were taken advantage of by Dr. Brown in the past. He was pretty much again influencing the way people were going to perceive and see him and his accusers. There were other ways also, because Julie Royce was one of the loudest voices. She's a journalist that covers things that happen related to the church. and she asked him for a few statements. Sometimes he would respond, sometimes he wouldn't. But again, I heard what he had to say. There were negative things as well. He was completely 100% all the time trying to put the way he wanted people to perceive of the situation and himself. It was like a PR move the whole time, the whole investigation. This is my opinion, of course, but I'm going to share my opinion here on this video. And I have no ill intentions except to be honest with you and to share my opinion with you. He talks about his pain and not about, so far, he doesn't talk about, at least the first thing that comes out is not the pain of the people involved. There are many people that would say that they have experienced a lot of pain, a lot of issues with their faith in direct relation with his actions. And one of the ladies that was the whistleblower, her name is Sarah, she has gone through a lot of pain, and she even her relationship with God was impacted, and it hasn't been until recently through the support I've heard, through the support that she has received recently, that she has been able to come close to God again. So there's more pain than going through a rightful investigation and allowing people to say what they want to say, the way they want to say it, where they want to say it. Another thing that seems so dishonest or self-deception, I don't know how to say it. Sometimes, if we're not careful, we can be blinded to our own issues, and or we're just plain liars. Either we're lying to others or we're lying to ourselves, right? But he says that he's not here to debate, and he says, I could have done screenshots, but instead I want to lower the temperature. And I was reminded by an interview that I had with Dr. Brown years ago, where I asked him about how he deals with people that he disagrees with. And one thing that caught my attention was that he said that if someone, disagrees with me, I'm ready. Like I'm there. I'm ready to challenge them and to debate them because I'm so convinced about. In other words, he said, I'm so convinced by, that I'm right, and so I'm gonna go for it. And I feel like that is the same mentality that happened, very inappropriate for this situation. And I think Dr. Brown has a lot of learning to do if he will humble himself truly about the difference between debating a topic and dealing with people that have brought charges against you. Even if you disagree with the way they perceive you, the way that his actions hurt you, there's still the right way to mend things. And I think that at the root of all of this is that Dr. Brown doesn't want to lose the platform that he has. And so I think that's why he, from the very beginning, even before this came out publicly, he was taking steps to protect his image, his show. People couldn't call in anymore, and he was saying, it was for these reasons. And so little by little, as I heard from people that were directly messaging him and having conversations and can show emails, this is going on behind the scenes. And us regular listeners, people that brought him to our platforms, were not privileged of this information. Me personally, for months before this information came out, something in me just felt like I don't feel like listening to his channel anymore. I think that this is my opinion and this is where I'm at. Like, if I were to take a spiritual analysis to the situation, it's possible that Dr. Brown started to take the wrong approach, and I think that it just impacted his ministry for some people. Maybe I don't know if there are more people out there that felt the same way. Like, his topics just were not like relevant, even though they were good topics. It just wasn't the same. I think that's when he was starting to be confronted, especially about his handling of, ever since he was involved by that, the allegations regarding Mike Bickle, he started to be involved. He started by telling people to not comment on it. I remember hearing him say that, and I assumed, okay, it must be very mature of him spiritually. But looking back and having heard from other experiences where he has tried to suppress and just like pretty much PR, like, what do you call it? When you're just trying to preserve like your reputation. So you try to control information so that you won't lose your supporters, especially financially. So when I look back and he's saying that, I can see some things that are wrong as well about why he would tell people if they have prophetic dreams or prophetic words, why, like the way that he said, we'll praise you later, even if it's sarcastic, it was belittling God, as in, if God is giving someone a word, a dream, then God must want someone to share it. So it's like you're saying, you're trying to suppress what God is speaking to the church. And it's not right, because God has gifted other people with different gifts in order to keep the church healthy. And so that now I can look back and see, wow, that was actually a very bad thing that he did, telling people not to talk about what was going on with that. And so I won't go into details about that, but you can find more information about that if you visit Julie Roy's report website. I can see that for myself, around the time that I started to lose interest in Dr. Brown's YouTube channel in particular, that was around the time that people were telling him, why are you involving yourself in this case with Mike Bickle when you have like a past that you've never really dealt with? And so people that had first-hand information or second-hand information, they started to try to communicate with him. And so you would think that a Christian person would be very honest and share, this is what happened here, and instead of, well, what do you know? Okay, I'll just share what you know. And the whole just, you have to go through this privately, and because the Bible teaches that, or whatever. Like, I started to listen to Dr. Brown because I used to listen to Mike Winger a lot, his YouTube channel, and I learned more about him having seen him on his channel. And I saw in the comment section a lot of people coming after him because saying, oh, well, he's been a part of these things where, like, how there's a debate with people that are continuationists, I think that's the word, and cessationists. So some believe that God has ceased from doing certain things like miracles still today, that the gifts are not operating anymore. And so I thought, you know what, let me listen to his videos on YouTube and hear him out for myself, because I had heard from another lady's channel that I regularly listen to, I had heard them talk about him as a dangerous person. So I thought I would invite him and let him know that, you know, when I researched him for myself, I could see that it wasn't what they were saying, and that he's actually sharing a lot of good information. And I was being blessed by his sources, you know, his books, his content. Had I known then what I know now, I would say Dr. Michael Brown is not dangerous for believing that the gifts are in operation still today. I would say Dr. Michael Brown is dangerous because of the wrong way he has dealt with victims in the past and currently today, to this day. I would not trust sending any of my supporters here on my channel to private message him, to see him, you know, privately, to go into his office, to even go to his school. I just have lost trust and faith that he is someone that is being honest, that he is able to see his own spiritual failings and be able to own it and be willing to lose his platform over it. Okay, I continued watching a little more, and I forgot to mention that in light of the fact that he was going through these allegations, and I haven't been very clear. I didn't want to talk about the things because it's really dirty, and I didn't want to be someone that was sharing this information in case that, you know, it wasn't true or whatever at first. Although I was already starting to see how, well, there's something here. And, but to this day, I don't really want to go into the details necessarily. I will leave. I mean, I feel like I have been sharing on my X account and on this channel. If you go to my posts section, the community section of my channel, you can find a lot of videos and a lot of channels. And I've seen so many. So I'll try to like share the main ones, or just tell you what channels to go look for this information. It's worth it if you are someone that's like, I don't see what the big deal is. It's a very big deal. There's even a situation where Dr. Brown failed to deal with the situation behind the scenes in the right way, involving his own school, and then that same person went on to an orphanage to continue to harm little orphans. And he's dangerous in the sense that he does not deal completely safely, completely responsibly with topics, situations of abuse, of sexual abuse. I'm just hoping the video won't be there won't be a problem with my channel because I said those words. So yeah, it's so, I don't know if this was on purpose or it was already something he was working on. And to me, again, it's like, it's so unnecessary. It's so irrelevant to the situation that's going on in the world that he would write a book about his own life story, his own autobiography. So to me, what was appealing to me about his ministry in the beginning was topics that I was interested in, about how do you respond to people that are saying that God has ceased to do miracles and people don't speak tongues, and all these kinds of topics. I really thought it was so relevant when he was talking about Trump. I think it was like the first time that, I can't remember, one of those times that Trump was running. Yeah, the time that he lost the election. So now it's like, why are you talking about yourself, you know? And I want to think that he was just in his own thinking, his own goals, personal goals, to put something like this out there. Or I'm suspicious that he knew that all of this was going to happen, and so the next book should be, again, make myself look as good as possible so that I can weather this storm coming up. I feel like that was the same reason why all of a sudden he wasn't taking any phone calls as he used to, as Dr. Brown, and people would be able to call in. I remember there were a few people that were upset with him, like, why aren't you doing more about, Michael Bickle? Why? And he would just say, oh, I had to step away from that because I didn't have time, or something like that. So I think if it would have been very inconvenient for people to call him during the time that these things were coming more and more towards him through emails and things like that. He could tell things were building up, and there was going to be a report that was going to come out, sharing all these information that makes him look very bad. Things that he tried to suppress the public from, even his elders at the time, from knowing completely all the information that happened. And he talked about how his heart was all about like putting everything out to light, but his actions behind the scenes for all of these years was the opposite. It was not to bring things to the light. It was to suppress, including some evidence that he supposedly kept in order, in case it came up in the future, he would have it on another he's been very inconsistent, because he said that with one person, and then, I don't know, to another person he said, oh, I never thought about keeping that. And that was information that was directly connected to one of the people that was that was involved, which was a married woman. And there's a lot of information that came out about that as well. And so, as this information, I believe God allowed it to come out. Maybe this was the way God punished Dr. Brown, because in the Bible we see that, for example, David, right? He did something privately, but God made it public. He made he gives consequences. He's not, God is grace, but God is judgment as well, and justice. And so I believe God has brought this to the light, not Dr. Brown, because it took these allegations, this whistleblower, to come forward in order for him to want to bring things to the light. And it wasn't brought to the light. I was hoping, in my first video that I made of him, I was hoping that he would bring things to the light, and that even an investigation wouldn't be necessary, that he would just share everything, admit, I did this. And there are so many different inconsistencies where he's saying, yeah, I touched her on her lower back. It wasn't sexual. It was like idiotic. But it's like every single thing is like, no, I need to say this. I need to say it in such a way so that, and to me, that is not repenting of your sins. Especially someone that is in a situation of leadership over people, over staff. You can't commit the sins that you have and be expected to be in a situation like that again. Especially because the Bible says that there are people that are disqualified. So yeah, like I said, if I would have known that information, I wouldn't have interviewed him, even if it was a Zoom private meeting, So let me continue. Oh yeah, I did not like how he said that he wanted to go with a lawyer, but that other people wanted to go with someone that is more friendly to their perspective. To their perspective, the investigator, the reason they wanted to go with someone like that is because this would be someone more knowledgeable, and would be someone that would be able to judge more accurately, more professionally, if Dr. Michael Brown truly engaged in clergy sexual abuse. And it turns out that yes, it was. And he rejects that phrase, that wording, and it is unacceptable, 100% unacceptable. I do not support Dr. Brown's ministry anymore in light of the way that he has handled his past today, the way that he has minimized his actions, the way he hasn't publicly repented. He has not been honest to the public, and I don't believe he feels that we are owed information or honesty. And it's very, very disrespectful, because it's like you're expecting, hey, let's just, continue, but pretty much he doesn't have to give anything. And he recently blocked his victim on X. That's people, especially in pastoral types of roles, in the church, preachers, that kind of thing, I think they can think so highly of themselves that they're right about this, they're right about that, that God speaks to them, that, and they forget you can be wrong. You have to care about if there's someone that you need to apologize to, go and don't, truly pay attention to what they're saying, and don't say, oh, well, you're lying, or you're doing things wrongly. That's just not biblical. That's not just saying, well, we can sit down and talk privately, me, my wife, you have no one over you to correct you, sir. He mentioned that the elders pretty much said that he can continue with his public ministry. This is what is very upsetting, and I don't know why I feel very emotional about this. I think it's just, after all this time, this is very disappointing. And you know what? You know what's inside of someone by what they say. And that is very disappointing. And I think I'm angry at myself, because I should have discerned better. Okay, the elders said that he did things wrong. I didn't read all of it, but the parts that I read, the elders, I didn't take it too seriously, because there was some wording, and it's just so uneducated. The way that some people want to just kind of dismiss things. Oh, it was 20 years ago. Well, okay. If someone does some crime 20 years ago, it happened a long time. They haven't done it again. You still did it, and you need to face the truth and face the consequences. A long time ago is not an argument, and it does not release you of anything. It's still your character, and unless you're taking a position like Paul, where he owns that he's the greatest sinner. I mean, if you're trying to come across like, no, I'm actually not the sinner, the great sinner that people are accusing me of, that's completely unbiblical. He said, he just mentions that the elders released him to continue his ministry, but he didn't say there are certain things that the elders did say that I did not handle right. That's just very dishonest. You're not sharing all the information to the people that are going to support you. This video is for the people that are on his side, pretty much, that they've been waiting for a response from him. It gets worse. It gets worse. I paused it when he's talking about there's like a civil war of some people that support Dr. Brown and some that don't. Oh my goodness gracious. No one is that important. I mean, there is no problem. There's no problem with people saying, well, Dr. Brown, blah, blah, blah. This is more like, hey, let's drop the topic and let's proceed and let's leave this in the past. Let's not have these conversations where People that are more informed can inform the people that are trying to support you. He says that he sincerely meant his apology, and that may be the case, but an apology goes beyond words. Your actions have to be the weight of your words. It means nothing. And also, what are you apologizing for? What did you do that caused pain to your students, where you were engaging in behavior that would get your students suspended or penalized somehow, or the professors in your school? One in particular had to apologize to the class because he told his class to watch Schindler's List, and it has nudity in it. And then he was watching a movie with a bunch of his students with nudity in it. It's very like he was a hypocrite, and it's like he's not sharing any information. He's not saying the people that are opposing me have good reasons to be upset at me. I have failed, and I have done this. It's true. And you start by owning what you did. He's saying to unite around Jesus. And also another piece of information that I did not have was that he had actually split where he worked in. He took the majority of the faculty and he started the School of Fire just a few miles down, like very near. He could have started a school in another state, somewhere else, but he caused a split in that school. And so it's very if I were not to have learned that information from people trying to bring the truth to light, I would think, wow, he sounds like such a spiritual man. But it just seems like, why have you never shared? Okay, so really quick, he pretty much says he looks forward to ministering to people again, and he makes it sound like he went through something terrible, when in fact he did something terrible to Sarah. He did something terrible to someone's wife. He did something terrible to his school. He did something terrible to the orphans that he failed. He has done terrible things to the people that have brought up these allegations to. Only God can do what is necessary for him to understand these things. I will not be spending a single cent more on his books, his ministry. I will not be reading his books. I will be throwing them away because I don't want someone to... I would donate the books, but I don't want someone to find out about him and the way that the fruit has been. I don't believe he's an exemplary Christian for people to be ministered to by him. And yeah, not a single recommendation on my channel about him. And if God helps him to do things differently, then maybe I'll make a video about that then. But alrighty guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Bye bye.